All right, what's up? It's Leonidas here today in Khiva, in Uzbekistan, and I'm just going to show you the city instead of just talking about it. Honestly, I read the history of the city, but I don't recall too much of it, and it's so cold that my phone died and now it's not charging. It is a Sony Xperia. I'm in the highest minaret in the city, and I'll just give you a nice panoramic view as usual. So the city itself is ancient. It was initially founded maybe in the 9th century, so about 1,200 years ago. So about 1,200 years ago. And it was founded for the purpose of being a link to the Silk Road. So there's a nice map not too far from here where it outlines the actual Silk Road itself and how extensive it was. It went from Japan all the way to Spain, and it was just a road, literally. So the city itself it's built on ancient history, but most of the city has been reconstructed about 150 years ago. So a lot of these buildings are not from 1,200 years ago, but nonetheless they still have a very ancient, appealing aspect to them. Because it's cold now, it is off-season, so there's not that many tourists. I am pretty much one of the few international tourists here. There's many Uzbek tourists, but not so many international tourists. Some other fun facts. Try not to buy the general ticket here. So basically when they say you need to get like a big general ticket for 50,000 som, which is about $6, you need to get it from some kind of office. Thus far, I haven't been asked for this actual ticket, and when I go for the really interesting locations, for the really interesting tourist locations like this watchtower, which gives you a nice view of the city, or the minaret that I'm currently in, you actually have to pay additional once you arrive. So it's like the fee structure doesn't really make sense. You basically have to pay extra on top of the ticket depending on the location that you want. And they offered for about $25, some guy would give me a tour of the city. I declined. I'd rather just read the history really quickly, although it would make sense to get a nice tour around the city. But their English here is pretty bad, so I don't know if they'd be able to explain very well. The city itself is very charming. As soon as I arrived, it was very, very beautiful. This is actually what I've been waiting for since my trip began into pretty much Asia. In that area is a bazaar, and a bazaar is a market where you can buy lots and lots of really nice, inexpensive things. And there you go. So even though it's an old city, the amazing aspect was that people actually still live here. So this is a residential district. And you can see the wall around the city as well. There you go, there's the wall. That wall was built shortly before the Russian invasion. So the Russians eventually took over Uzbekistan, or rather the area that was previously known as, before it was known as Uzbekistan, during the Russian Imperial Age. So it was the game of empires back in the day when pretty much it was a land grab, try to get as much territory as you can. And the Russians were able to get the most amount of territory, as well as forge forceful alliances with many empires, with the Tajiks, with the Kyrgyz, with the Kazakh people, and with the Uzbek people. Now, they allowed these people to rule autonomously, but they were basically subjects of the Russian Empire until communism came along and pretty much killed anyone that opposed communist rule. So there's a lot of rebellions against the Russian Empire before the communism, and then once communism came into play, they pretty much killed as many people as they could that would potentially be anti-communist. There's the outlying city over there. And you can see down there that they are still actually rebuilding the whole city. Actively, everything is under repair, upgrade, and in 2021, supposedly the president said that tourism is going to increase dramatically. So there's going to be way more tourists than usual. It is going to be a lot easier to get into Uzbekistan than it is now, where you need to apply for a visa, then you also need a letter of invitation, depending on which nationality you're from. Nonetheless, the city is very charming, very beautiful. After this, I will go to Bukhara and then to Samarkand, two other very old Silk Road cities on the trade route. I highly recommend Khiva. It's literally a $45 ticket from Tashkent, which is the capital of Uzbekistan. And then it's another $6 taxi ride along about 30 to 40 kilometers from the airport for $6. So everything is really cheap, really inexpensive. Great place. Alright, as usual, Leonidas here, and I will see you in the next video, which will be in Bukhara. Salut.